What's going on, guys? My name is Arrow, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you 7 reasons why Path of Exile 2 is going to blow you away. Reason number 1 is I think that GGG has addressed the biggest concern that we had as Path of Exile 1 players with PoE 2, and that's the endgame. Mark and Jonathan talked about how they gave up on working on the second half of the campaign in order to put more time into the endgame so that the early access launch would have as much content as possible. I think this was an incredibly smart move because everybody that plays ARPGs knows that the endgame is everything. Of course, I want a good campaign. I actually like the campaign. I've done the one in PoE 1 a lot of times, and it really is crucial to have a good campaign to grab players and make them want to reach the endgame. But that said, the endgame is what makes PoE PoE. So they pulled all of their staff off of the campaign and put them all to work on the endgame of PoE 2. The result: 6 or so pinnacle bosses, 5 fully fleshed out endgame systems. We have Expedition, Delve, Breach, many of them completely reworked. We have Atlas trees, and we have a brand new Atlas, which brings me to point number 2, the Infinite Atlas tree. You'll be able to explore in any direction you like, purging corruption from the area, buffing maps with a new tablet system that appears to be replacing scarabs. They've got these very cool new things called towers, where when you access the tower, it reveals the fog of war in an area, so you can see what sort of maps are there. But it's not just maps. You're going to find unique maps, hideouts, bosses. Exploring the new endgame will be an absolute joy. Before, we just had basically, here's 100 maps, you start at tier 1, and you work your way up through the top of the Atlas, and just try to complete every map one time. Once you complete that, it becomes farm your favorite map until you get bored of the league. Now, I don't want to knock that system too much because I really do enjoy it, but it does lack excitement. This new PoE Infinite Atlas will be a lot of fun to explore. If you like this sort of content, make sure you like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. I also stream every single day on Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. You can check out that link in the description, along with my Patreon. If you want to get access to the private Discord, see your name at the end of videos, make sure you subscribe there as well. Number 3, the new Atlas tree is very, very exciting. When they added the endgame Atlas tree to Path of Exile 1, I was very excited, but what I found was that I quickly was kind of locked into certain patterns on the tree and things that I felt like I had to do. If I wanted to play this sort of content, I really couldn't access this other type of content because I was limited in the number of points that I had. So I always ended up doing these kind of samey trees, which would take, shrines, maybe strong boxes, quant rarity, and then 1 or 2 mechanics. The new endgame Atlas tree works very differently. There's going to be a central Atlas tree that will have points on it that allow you to allocate general things, and then there will be individual Atlas trees for each mechanic. So when you want to farm Breach, you have the Breach tree. You don't need to respec your entire Atlas to do Breach. This is a major, major upgrade, and when they add new mechanics, they can just give it its own tree. So staying in the vein of the endgame, number 4 is mapping feels like it is truly up to you to do whatever you want, and that is so exciting. Do you want to avoid bosses? You can. Do you want to fight specifically map bosses? You can. Not enjoying the way you're going on the Infinite Atlas? Just go another direction. With bosses appearing only 1 in 4 maps, map bosses are going to be significantly harder, more time consuming, but also more rewarding. If you build a character that is really, really good at bosses, you can hunt down these bosses in the Atlas. However, if you just want to blast maps, you can avoid map bosses entirely. So what is the goal of a map without a map boss? Well, simple. You just want to kill all of the rares. When you get under 50 monsters remaining, all of the remaining rares, if there are any in the map, will reveal themselves so that you can quickly find them and clear the entire map. This is a great solution, and as a blaster, I'm really, really looking forward to this. Just a few quick notes on mapping. Maps have 1 death and you're done. There are 6 portals, but those are for party members and looting if you want to go in and out of the map. If you die in a map, the map is over. I really do think this will be a positive thing for Path of Exile, as 6 portal defenses has created sort of a degenerate sort of mapping behavior in the endgame, and I'm looking forward to being forced to build a little bit stronger of a character. Something interesting that they mentioned, the game will pause if you crash or log out, which for hardcore players might be a little bit interesting. The logout macro meta in PoE 1 allows you to basically re-enter a zone, but in PoE 2, if the game is just paused, when you come back in, you'll be in the exact same place. For people with unstable computers or internets, this will be really, really good news. So even though you only get 1 death in a map, if you crash, you can go back in with one of your 6 portals and not have to worry about losing your map. Number 5 is the crafting system. I have done a lot of crafting in Path of Exile, and I am very excited for a new system. This new system seems to truly favor upgrading items instead of crafting everything from scratch, which is kind of the end game of PoE 1. Mark said that if you aren't using Exalted Orbs in Act 1, then he's failed. Basically, they're going to be increasing the drop rates of all of these currencies to encourage you to craft items as you go. Effectively, Aug, Regal, Exalt is going to be a very common way to make items, but there's a lot more to it. For example, essences. Essences have been changed in a significant way. They no longer are going to create rare items for you by default. There is an essence that can take a white item into a blue item and give you one deterministic mod. But this isn't a specific mod, it's a mod from a mod group. So if you want speed on boots, and speed is the only mod, you can guarantee a movement speed mod. But say life, you have an essence of the body, which gives you a life mod. It could give you regen, it could give you flat life, it could give you life on kill. So essencing will be a little bit different of a system, but you'll be able to force on one mod of a type, and then a greater essence will allow you to take a magic item and make it into a rare item with another guaranteed mod of a mod type. I'm sure a lot is going to go into figuring out the best way to do this, but it is a very interesting take on an old system. So what is the system that is going to allow us to make powerful endgame items? And that is omens. So far, we've only seen 2 of these omens, but one of them you will be very familiar with. The first omen that was teased makes it so your next annulment orb only removes a suffix. This is effectively Eldritch crafting without needing the item to be Eldritch, and tells me that there's going to be a lot more of this type of omen. I assume we'll get that for prefixes, maybe things like attack and caster mods, and this should allow for a lot more specific targeting of mods in the endgame. Another omen that we saw makes your Exalted Orb add 2 mods instead of 1. I'm not entirely sure how this is anything more than just an Exalted Orb twice, but there may be interactions that I'm not yet aware of. There's probably going to be a ton of omens, and I'm super excited to see what they all do. Number 6 is Lab Reimagined. Lab was one of my least favorite things about Path of Exile 1. Running through traps is not super fun for me, and the only way to make Lab rewarding was to do all of the rooms, which means a lot more trap rooms, and it really was only efficient to do if you had an incredibly fast character. Now, Ascendancy trials look like they will be fun and rewarding. So what are trials? Trials allow you to engage with rewarding mechanics like Ultimatum or Sanctum, both again reimagined. And you can work your way through these systems to get to the end boss, and there are going to be challenges and rewards along the way. Currently, there are 2 trials available, and a 3rd will be coming, and potentially more after that. The cool thing about this is you don't have to do all of the trials. If you choose one trial that you really like, you can do that one over and over again until you have all of your Ascendancy points. It looks like these trials are designed to not just be a way for us to get our Ascendancy points, but also a way to target farm a particular mechanic's rewards. In my opinion, this is a huge upgrade over the very buggy Azaro fight and the trap rooms along the way. And lastly, number 7, infinite customization. There are going to be hundreds of skills and hundreds of support gems, and there is a new limitation that I find fascinating. You are only allowed to use each support gem 1 time per character. Mark and Jonathan talked at length about this. Basically that you before had the illusion of choice in that every single cold skill wanted to have cold penetration on it. But since you can only use each support gem a single time, you're going to be forced to choose more things. That's going to create a scenario where we have much more interesting 6 links and a lot more variety in customization. With up to 6 links for every skill and no more socket pressure created by gear, you'll be able to make way more interesting combinations than before. So something that was very unpopular in PoE 1 is the mechanic of cast on kill or use on kill. The reason that this was unpopular is because it required you to give up some opportunity cost, some gem space, or item space in order to cast something on a kill. I think in PoE 2 it's going to work more like explosions. Explosions are when you kill a monster, it explodes and does area damage around it. But now, because we have so many gems available to us, you can kind of think of cast on kill gems as sources of explode. So when you kill that first monster in the pack, instead of exploding, it's going to cast fireballs in every direction. I think this is going to create way more interesting ways of clearing packs than just having it explode, and I'm very much looking forward to having lots of different variation on this front. One of the cool gems that we saw from the trailer was cast on Ignite. It did look like it had a little bit of a cooldown or some sort of build-up period where you have to ignite multiple times, but then when it went off, it would cast a spell. This looks like it'll be strong for both clear and single target. I am not sure how they are going to balance all of this, but as a creator, I am really looking forward to making some cool builds. So that's going to be it for me. If you like this, make sure you like the video, comment down below, and subscribe. I'm live every single day on Twitch, so check me out there, twitch.tv/AER0__. We are going to be theory crafting new builds before PoE2 League start. So if you want to see what I'm going to be playing, make sure you stop by. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.